Hey YouTube, it's Casey again. I just recently posted a video on the binders that I use, so I thought as a follow-up video I would talk about the possibility of getting top surgery. So, back many years ago when I first started researching all things transgender online, it was kind of like this kind of interesting thing to look at, but like not something I ever thought that I would get into. And if I did, however, I always thought that I would go and I would have top surgery and I wouldn't bother with the hormones. And I made a video about why I'm currently taking hormones, and it goes a little bit into my thoughts on that, so I won't go into that in this video. But so now, fast forward to now, and I'm taking hormones. I've been on testosterone for 5 months now, and I am binding regularly. And I've only been binding regularly for like, I want to say about a year or so. But before then, I would do it just kind of like every so often on like a special occasion, or if like I was going to go out somewhere or something like that. But usually I would just, and I still do this, I just kind of like finagle layers, and I've gotten really good at layering clothes and kind of trying to hide my chest the best that I can that way. So, I'm basically, of all the parts of my body that I've got issues with, my chest is not super high on the list. However, it happens to be one of the things that outs me most often, especially now that my voice is starting to drop, and I think it may have actually even dropped a little bit more since the last time I talked about it. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it sounds a little lower, but now that my voice has gotten a little bit lower, my chest is the thing that outs me more frequently than not. So I've got to bind for work all the time, and my work day it can be really long. It's like the usual 8-hour work day, plus, I don't know, put an hour on either end for like commuting and getting dressed and ready and all that. But sometimes I work a double shift, which means I'm working 16 hours, and that's a really long time to bind all at once, and don't use me as an example. You shouldn't be binding that long period. It's really not good for you. And I noticed even within the first month of binding regularly, where I was binding, like 5 or 6 days a week when I first started at this current position that I'm at, where I had to start binding, I noticed that like the tissue in my chest has changed just in that first month of regularly binding. And that's like a really short period of time, and I think it's probably like permanent changes that have happened. And that's a little concerning, and I feel like it's only going to degrade over time. And as far as, just little things with binding, it squishes your lungs, it makes it hard to breathe, hard to swallow sometimes. It's like really tough on your back and your shoulders because it's like all that weight and pressure. And you kind of like, I don't know if, I think other guys probably do this. I do this a lot. I kind of posture myself differently. I like hunch my shoulders up and forward and to like drape my clothes off my shoulders as opposed to draping off my chest, and it's like, it's not good posture, and that's another thing that's bad for your back. And this is going to catch up with me pretty quickly, and I know I've only been regularly binding for a year, and lots of other people have been doing it for much longer than I have. And I was lucky to be able to get away with not doing it as often, because I don't like to physically, it's really uncomfortable, as I mentioned. Like, mentally, it's great. It's like, it's nice to see, like, the flat chest and pass in public and all of that, but physically binding it's really hard on your body. But now, there's a real possibility that I may be able to actually get top surgery because I have an insurance now that covers trans-related things, and it's supposed to cover surgery, and I don't know exactly how much it covers. I've been meaning to call, actually, to see what exactly is covered. Like, is it going to cover, I know that some doctors, it'll cover, like, the actual surgery itself, but it won't cover, like, the hospital stay and the anesthesia and other little factors in that will add up to a couple $1,000s, so cheaper, but still really expensive. So I gotta call the insurance company and see what exactly they cover. And then that's the first step that I've got to do. But my real big thing with top surgery is that I want to maintain nipple sensation. For a lot of top surgeries that you get, they you lose sensation in your chest, especially in your nipples. It's just like normal tactile feel if you're lucky. And the best way to maintain nipple sensation is to keep, like, I guess your nipples, like, on a stalk, and it's, like, connected to your chest wall. And the best way to keep sensation is to either do a keyhole or periareolar surgery are the two, and those are two that can only be done if you have, like, a particularly small chest, so it's not an option for larger chested guys, unfortunately. The surgery technology, or whatever it is that you'd call it, isn't there yet, which I can go into a whole nother rant about that, but I'll stay on topic. So, I think that I'm on the border of being able to get the keyhole or the periareolar surgery as opposed to the double incision, which is the one that you see on a lot of trans guys. That's the one where you see it's got like the two large scars underneath the pectoral muscles. And I don't really care too much about the scarring, to be honest. It's really the nipple sensation that I want to maintain. So I've got to set up some consultations with doctors once I find doctors and see if they do, A, what kind of surgeries they do, if they do the kind that I'm looking for, and B, like, how successful they are with, like, keeping the nipple sensation intact. So I gotta, first thing first, I gotta research them online, and I'm like, this is something that I did a long time ago, just kind of like for fun, to look at different surgery results. Back when I was like, haha, wouldn't it be amazing if this could ever happen, but it never would. And now that it's an actual possibility, I need to actually, like, seriously look into it a little bit more, because it's been a couple years since I looked at any type of surgery results. So, right now in my life, I'm kind of, like, looking up doctors online and trying to figure out who's doing what. I want to see the results of the outcome of their surgeries that they do, like, how the scars look, just to see, like, how the doctor's handiwork is. Looking to see if they leave, like, any, they call them dog ears, or, like, skin tags, I think it's also called, where it's, like, little, almost triangular shaped flap of skin under your armpit from, like, the scarring. And also a big thing for me is, like, the contouring. Like, a lot of guys just want, like, straight, flat chest, and, like, I get that, but that's not exactly what I'm looking for. I don't think, for me, it would look the most natural. I want it to look, like, a little bit more contoured like a male chest, so that's something I would have to speak with the doctors in person about, but, like, for the time being, I just gotta look online and see what kind of surgery results they have. There is a transgender conference going on in my city within, I think it's the beginning of the next month, the beginning of January, so I have to see if I can get some time off work and go to that. And I've heard that it's a big thing for people who are looking into top surgery. The guys kind of, like, will show off their results to each other and talk to people about the doctors that they went to, and I think that could be really informative for me. So that's where I am right now in this weird transgender journey, whatever, that I'm taking. So the hormones thing is kind of, like, settling itself out, and I've got a couple things in mind for that down the road that I won't bother with right now. But right now, I'm trying to focus on setting up my health insurance and figuring out what they'll cover and trying to find a doctor that'll do what I want. And I'm still on the fence whether or not this is something that I actually want to do or not, much like the hormones was. But I've said before, I'll say it again, I will pore over something for eons and research the hell out of it and think about it forever and never make up my mind. So I gotta, like, this is something I want to kind of look into within the next, like, year or so, I'm thinking. I'm thinking that maybe I could do it, I wanted to do it, like, right before summertime, so I have some people who could help me with, like, the recovery process during, like, summer break that they have. So I think this summer might be a little too soon for that. I'm not quite prepared for that yet, but maybe next summer that'd be something to look into. So I've got a little bit of time. That gives me, like, a year and a half, I guess, to figure out who I would want to go to and what I would want to have happen, and figuring out who covers surgery. So it's kind of a lot on my plate right now that I'm trying to figure out. So I've been putting off calling the health insurance company just because I hate those automated phone services. They're a pain in the neck to try and manipulate and figure out who you're talking to, and every time I call them, I get a different answer from different people when I was calling about, like, hormone stuff. So I gotta do that, and I'm researching different doctors now. There's 3 or 4 big doctors in the city that I live in that I know my insurance covers. So I have to get in contact with them and see, like, the different things I talked about, what surgeries they do, and what is covered with insurance, because the insurance part is kind of like I gotta figure that out, and they just do the surgery. They don't bother too much with telling you what's covered and what's not. You gotta call your insurance and see what kind of plan you have for that. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to figure that out, and it's a big daunting task, and I'm still trying to figure out whether it's something I want. And I'm thinking, if I'm not eligible for, like, the keyhole surgery, if it had to be double incision, I might not even do it. But I'm getting real sick of binding all the time. It's getting to be a pain in the neck, pain in the back, literally. And I've only been doing it for about a year or so, and I can't imagine having to do this for, like, the rest of my life, as long as that may be. So maybe this is something I gotta look into a little bit more seriously. So that's where I'm at right now. Depending on if I can think of enough stuff to say, I may do an update video for the different changes that have happened to me within the past 5 months, but we'll see. But I figured 2 videos and I got a couple minutes. It's technically still the same day, so 2 minutes, 2 videos in 1 day is pretty good. So that's where I'm at right now. Bye.